Celebrities, they're just like us. No, not really. So let's look at the over-entitled ones who've been kicked out or banned from places. First up, James Corden. The talk show host was banned from Balthazar, a popular New York City restaurant, for his alleged mistreatment of the staff that worked there. The restaurant's owner publicly called him out for his rude behavior, describing him as like the most horrific customer in the restaurant's history. He explained in an Instagram post that on one occasion, Corden was very nasty to the staff after he found a hair in his food, and that on another occasion, he flipped out on the server when they messed up his wife's order. The hair in the food moment, yeah, gross. Basically what happened was that Corden showed a hair to the manager after his meal. He allegedly demanded free drinks and threatened to write a bad Yelp review. Corden was also angry when his wife was served an omelet with egg white in it, and then again when it was remade with home fries instead of a salad. The internet, of course, had a field day with this one, and the ban was later rescinded after Corden actually apologized. Corden admitted to being ungrateful to a server, and he called the ban silly and said he still doesn't feel like he did anything too wrong. He also addressed the incident on The Late Late Show. He said, as some of you, may have seen last week, there were stories about me being banned from a restaurant. He explained that after the owner took to Instagram to share the incident, he thought about doing so himself, but decided to have a more British approach to it all and kept calm and carried on. He continued to say, but as my dad pointed out to me, he said, son, well, you did complain, so you might need to explain. Look, when you make a mistake, you've got to take responsibility. He followed that by explaining his recollection of the events that night and said he has a deep love for that restaurant and that his wife apparently just has a really bad allergy. And considering the servers got the order wrong like 3 times, that he was frustrated. He said his comments were meant to be sarcastic, but they were rude and he regretted it deeply. He said the managers were actually quite lovely about everything and even brought some champagne to the table. The incident highlighted the scrutiny celebrities face regarding their behavior in public. Janet Jackson. Now, during the halftime show at the Super Bowl back in 2004, if you remember it, Janet Jackson's chest was accidentally exposed when her shirt basically collapsed. I mean, Jackson's representative said that Justin Timberlake, who was performing with her, was supposed to pull away the bustier to reveal like a red lace bra. However, the garment collapsed, exposing Janet completely. Jackson said that the decision to have a costume reveal at the end of her performance was made after final rehearsals. She also said that MTV was unaware of the plan and that it was not her intention for it to happen. CBS required Jackson to make a public apology, but she didn't. This incident drew so much attention and there was even a documentary made about it. This infamous performance still gets talked about to this day. It was such a big deal and caused so much controversy at the time. Now, local radio stations refused to play Jackson's new album at the time. Justin Timberlake apologized, but Janet flat out refused to, and that decision to not apologize on air set the entire unwinding of her career in motion. Janet was 38 at the time. She had already had like one of the longest and most successful careers ever in pop music history. CBS was fined over like $500,000 for the incident. The chairman of the FC, Michael Powell, said years later, I think we've been removed from this long enough for me to tell you that I had to put my best version of outrage on that I could put on. Several ongoing TV shows that year after the incident changed their pilots that involved even like mild, indecent storylines. And that year's Victoria's Secret fashion show was just outright canceled. And that was also the year YouTube was born. Yep, YouTube's co-founder, Jawad Karim, has said that the Super Bowl incident with Janet Jackson was one of 2 major events in 2004 that actually sparked, his interest in creating a video sharing platform. Needless to say, Jackson was punished severely. First, she was, uninvited from that year's Grammys. Her music was ordered to be removed from every station, and her music video rotations were actually taken out of the rotation. Even over 20 years later, it's still one of the most controversial, moments in pop history. And as you can probably imagine, she's never been invited back to the Super Bowl. It was a great performance though. Honestly, go watch the full thing for yourself and thank me later. Fergie. In 2011, it was the turn of the Black Eyed Peas, coming a few months after the mixed reception to their 6th album, The Beginning, following in the footsteps of The Who, Bruce Springsteen, and Tom Petty. In 3 years prior, the LA hip hop collective had the opportunity to sprinkle some of their pop bangers over the end zone, but because it's the Super Bowl, they needed some rock and roll too, so they called Slash from Guns N' Roses to join the Black Eyed Peas on stage. What happened next was not Slash's fault. By 2011, he must have played Sweet Child of Mine like thousands and thousands thousands of times. Similarly, it's actually not strictly Fergie's fault either, just how much of a car crash the duet was, but it's certainly not her finest moment. Rather than sing in her own voice, which had, accomplished #1 hits globally, Fergie actually decided to channel Axl Rose's voice, descending the performance to like a karaoke quality rendition of the 1987 song. It was a horrible performance, and luckily for everyone, it lasted no more than like a couple of minutes, but it had a very lasting impression because Fergie in particular was never invited back again. And honestly, I don't even know why Fergie got invited anywhere else ever again to perform. I mean, we all remember her NBA All-Star Game performance, right? So, the NFL's decision to ban certain celebrities from attending the 2025 Super Bowl marks a very significant shift in the league's approach to celebrity behavior. Madonna is up. The Alamo Drafthouse movie theater chain has banned Madonna from its theaters after reports that the Queen of Pop was texting during a New York Film Festival screening of 12 Years a Slave. Her Majesty attended the festival screening of Fox Searchlight's Oscar hopeful, posing for photos with director Steve McQueen. Now, during the film though, she was reportedly texting and lashed out at a fellow audience member who tried to get her to stop. According to several outlets, film critic Charles Taylor shared the following story from an audience member at that screening. It said, "Tonight at the New York Film Festival premiere of 12 Years a Slave, I sat behind the unholy trifecta of Jason Ritter, Jay Alexander from America's Next Top Model, and Michael K. Williams from The Wire. Plus, a very mysterious blonde in black lace gloves who wouldn't stop texting on her BlackBerry throughout the first half of the movie. Eventually, a woman next to me tapped her on the shoulder and told her to put her phone away. The blonde hissed back, 'It's for business, enslavers.' I turned to the shoulder tapper and loudly said, 'Thanks,' and gave her a thumbs up. The rest of the movie, I kept thinking about how I wanted to tell the blonde what a disgrace she was. During the standing ovation, the blonde ducked out and Jason Ritter turned around to make commiserating eye contact as Jay Alexander asked, 'Who was that?' Jason then looked down at the floor. His eyes got wide and he picked up an envelope and it showed it to us, Jay, and it said 2 screening tickets, Madonna. And sure enough, we looked to the side of the theater and standing against the wall in black lace gloves was Madonna, the worst person in America. The Drafthouse chain has had a strict no talking and no texting policy and will eject, people who violate it. So when founder and CEO Tim League read reports of Madonna's behavior, he tweeted a tweet that said, "Until she apologizes to movie fans, Madonna is banned from watching movies here." Now, it's unclear if Madonna ever apologized, but honestly, I doubt she cares. Last on my list, I got Janet Jackson, sister to late Michael, and queen of not apologizing. Janet Jackson says she was disinvited from the 2004 Grammys after her wardrobe malfunction scandal with Justin Timberlake at their Super Bowl halftime show that same year. In her documentary titled Janet, the singer reveals she was asked not to come back to the Grammy Awards after Timberlake accidentally stripped her during a Super Bowl performance. Now, on February 1st, 2004, a wardrobe malfunction occurred on stage at the annual NFL Championship. It might have seemed innocent enough, but the infamous moment had devastating consequences on Jackson's career. Jackson was on stage performing, a medley of her hits when fellow pop star Timberlake made a surprise appearance to perform a duet. The pair sang Timberlake's hit Rock Your Body when, at the final line of the song, the former NSYNC member actually pulled off a part of Jackson's costume. Timberlake was supposed to pull away the bustier to reveal a red lace bra. Instead, the garment malfunctioned and the singer exposed Jackson's bare chest instead. Now, the Together Again singer's chest was broadcast to the world with only a small shield to cover her modesty. It was shown for less than 1 second before CBS cut the shot. Though it was, mere milliseconds, Jackson's, partial nudity triggered a wave of outrage across conservative America. It was aired to an audience of around 150 million viewers around the world, and the Federal Communications Commission received more than 500,000 complaints about the performance. The public pearl clutching over Jackson's chest would almost end her career. Janet's ex-boyfriend at the time, Jermaine Dupri, also added, that he quit his role as a member of the Grammys board, after he learned of the injustice. Janet and Dupri actually dated from 2002 to 2009, and he said, I felt like they were disrespectful to Janet and I resigned at that point. Previously, the Huffington Post reported that Timberlake was allowed to perform after he tearfully apologized for the incident. The CBS chief executive, according to sources, was furious that Jackson didn't make an apology to him. Consequently, Jackson's music career began to suffer. Her songs and music videos were blacklisted blacklisted from MTV and CBS as per the instruction of parent company Viacom. Now, the cultural impact of Jackson and Timberlake's performance was monumental. The inventors of YouTube even credited the incident, as one of the reasons they launched the platform. The moment also triggered a years-long debate and culture war about, misogyny and the unfair treatment of Jackson. Justin Bieber. It's rumored that Justin has been banned from performing at the Super Bowl. Back in 2024, there was talk going around that he was supposed to headline with Usher but declined. But many people, speculated that he didn't actually decline and was actually banned. Fans watching were devastated that he didn't pop up on stage, and that sparked a lot of debate on why he wasn't actually there. A source close to Justin said at the time that Justin just has zero interest in performing for any major live shows, and he's like a homebody now. But many people think the NFL is just not interested in having someone who has had, some controversy up on their stage. I mean, Justin has been involved in several high-profile controversies throughout his entire career, including a 2014 arrest for DUI and resisting arrest. So that may be why he's not there performing, last year, this year, or any year going forward, or maybe just even why he's not even in attendance. Chris Brown. Chris has made a lot of claims with several different reasons as to why he will never perform at any Super Bowl halftime show. He has said many times that he thinks his past will continue to haunt him like forever. Chris has been involved in several high-profile altercations, including a 2009 incident with Rihanna, which we all know about. Now, despite bouncing back, having hit after hit, and several sold-out tours reaching #1 on, the charts, and a very dedicated fan base, he still believes it was that incident that's caused a lot of issues in his current personal and professional life. One fan asked on social media, "When are you performing at the Super Bowl? We need you at the next one." Brown actually responded to that person saying, "Never. American media ain't for me. Rather be where I'm welcomed." This interaction came months after it was rumored that Brown's American Music Awards tribute to Michael Jackson was axed at the very last minute. Many people have claimed, however, that he doesn't perform not because he doesn't want to, but because the NFL doesn't want him to, and probably never will. Either way, it doesn't look like we will get a breezy show there anytime soon. Miley Cyrus. It's alleged that Miley is banned from performing at the Super Bowl halftime show because of how she acts and her past performances on various award shows that caused a lot of controversy. The Super Bowl is meant to be like a very family-friendly, event, and the NFL doesn't want someone like her on stage. Miley Cyrus, no doubt, has gone through so many transformations in her life and career, being innocent, on the Family Channel show playing Hannah Montana, to being young, wild, and free once removed from that platform. But her performance at the VMAs, where she was seen twerking on Robin Thicke, may have been like her coming-of-age moment for her, but it has become one of her most memorable moments for the wrong reasons, causing a lot of award shows to not want her present, performing, or even just in attendance. Because of that performance, it actually even got her banned from performing in the Dominican Republic. Now, despite all of this, there has been so much talk about whether or not an exception will be made this year. Miley has grown a lot since her, heydays, and many fans are actually calling for her to perform this year. We know that Kendrick is headlining, but some people think Miley might make a little surprise cameo. One person on social media said, "I have a feeling Miley Cyrus will come on stage. She was rumored for a while now, and she certainly has the back catalog to pull it off. I feel like she's at a point in her career now where she's very respected, with her recent Disney legend status and winning her first Grammys, last year and most recently this year. It would be so exciting, and she'll certainly put on a show. I guess we will have to wait and see if she makes a surprise appearance or not." Hugh Grant is next. In Paul King's Paddington 2, Hugh Grant played an egocentric actor named Phoenix Buchanan, a greedy villain given to flights of narcissism. Given what Jon Stewart has said about Grant, it might not have been a stretch for him to play such a character. Grant had a bad reputation and has been taken to task by the press several times in the past for losing his temper on set. Most recently, Grant was actually reported to have yelled very harshly at a woman on the set of Dungeons & Dragons. He assumed that the woman was, a visiting executive, and he was infuriated by her demands. As it turns out, the woman was an on-set chaperone for one of the film's child actors, and certainly didn't deserve the attack. Now, back in 2012, however, Grant already recognized this about himself. In a 2015 interview with Vanity Fair, he admitted to throwing a tantrum backstage on The Daily Show right in front of the host Jon Stewart. He confessed saying, "I did have a tantrum backstage about once a year. I have a really mega tantrum." And sadly, he witnessed one. In between tantrums, Grant seems to be decent, but he also regularly appears to be in a position where he becomes inexcusably, angry and makes unreasonable demands, of his coworkers. Of course, this was after Stewart had already called the actor out while being interviewed by Stephen Colbert live on stage at the Wellmont Theater in New Jersey. Now, according to the Daily Show host, Grant was like the worst guest he had ever had on his series, and that included some of the political monsters and dictators that he has, deliberately hosted. Miley Cyrus is banned from performing in the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic Government Commission that oversees public performances banned a concert by Miley Cyrus on morality grounds. The commission said in a statement that it took the action because Cyrus often, undertakes acts that go against morals and customs, which are punishable by Dominican law. Some critics have declared Cyrus's on-stage antics, including twerking and, doing other stuff, as vulgar. Now, Miley Cyrus's twerking has been deemed too offensive for the Dominican Republic government. The singer's Bangers World Tour, sees her actually wearing like a cannabis pattern leotard. Cyrus has also previously, smoked cannabis on stage, which is an illegal act in the Dominican Republic. So in the past, the commission has banned songs it considered vulgar from the country's airwaves. A representative for Cyrus did not immediately respond to a request for comment, and concert, organizers in the Dominican Republic didn't comment on the ban either. Travis Scott, following his Astroworld tragedy, where numerous attendees were injured and several were unalived, Scott faced significant criticism and legal repercussions. The NFL likely wouldn't want to associate with someone involved in such a high-profile incident, therefore just banning him to prevent any problems. The last time Scott was there was actually back in 2018, where he was confirmed as a special guest for the halftime show. Scott agreed to perform if the NFL donated $500,000 to Dream Corps, which is a social justice organization. Scott's participation in that show was quite controversial, and some artists, including Rihanna and Cardi B, reportedly turned down the opportunity to perform that year. It's alleged that Jay-Z and civil rights groups reportedly pressured Scott to back out of performing, and Scott allegedly spoke with Colin Kaepernick before deciding to actually take the halftime job, and the two reached a place of mutual respect because it was that year that the NFL refused to sign Colin Kaepernick. Kanye West. Kanye West is one of the most controversial celebrities in the world, from interrupting Taylor Swift's VMA speech to making provocative statements about, slavery and racism. Kanye has always been unapologetic and very outspoken. However, it was rumored that West has been banned from attending the Super Bowl because he is just unpredictable, as well as I think maybe, just maybe, they don't want him showing up with his half-naked wife on his arm. But the rumor also may have started because former NFL player Brandon Marshall claimed that West was planning to choose a seat in front of Taylor Swift's suite, which could be problematic. The NFL has taken notice, and sources close to the league have confirmed that Kanye will not be welcome at the 2025 Super Bowl. Kanye's ban from the Super Bowl is not surprising given, his history of controversy. However, it's worth noting that the NFL has a very long history of embracing celebrities and entertainers, even those with checkered past. So Kanye's ban marks a very significant shift in the league's approach to celebrity behavior. DaBaby is next. DaBaby faced backlash for making homophobic comments during a concert. The NFL has a strong stance against discrimination, making it unlikely that they would want him performing or even in attendance. In 2021, for Miami's Rolling Loud concert, the final day was packed with highly anticipated performances from, Megan Thee Stallion to Post Malone and many others. But it was DaBaby's set that immediately dominated headlines, and for many days after that, during his set, he made some really homophobic and misogynistic comments that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Although having, support from some fellow rappers like T.I., for instance, most did not come to his defense and actually criticized him. DaBaby doubled down though days later and referred to himself as like the best live performer ever that the world's ever seen, and that, his words were nothing more than a call to action and people should just shut up. He did eventually apologize, saying that he was insensitive, but of course the damage had been done at that point.